Hey, what's up? All right, so today I've talked a few weeks ago about pivoting in your agency, and it's easy to say, yeah, we're going to pivot and sell this. So I'm going to give you a little bit more tangible advice on what to do when it comes to pivoting. I'm going to tell you what I'm doing in my agency when it comes to trying to write more workers' comp. Okay, so you know me, I love math, I love numbers, I love facts, and when it comes to goal setting, let's say we want to write $100,000 in workers' comp next year. Okay, it's a feasible goal. So here's how I would approach that goal. Here's how I recently approached it with my team. Okay, if I want to write $100,000 with a commercial premium in workers' comp, how many policies is that? How do you figure that out? Well, I would have to know what is my average workers' comp premium. So I went and looked. We have all this data, right? And I was like, and I found out my average workers' comp premium is $6,000. Okay. Okay. So if I want to write 100,000, I have to write 16 policies. Cool. 16 policies. That's it. All right. So how do I write 16 workers' comp policies? Well, what's my closing ratio? How many do I have to quote? Okay. Well, if you do the math, 16 divide, what's your closing ratio? My closing ratio is about 40% on workers' comp. Okay. So you take 16 policies divided by 0.4, which is 40%, and it's going to give you 40. Okay. If I quote 40 workers' comp policies and my closing ratio is 40%, I will write 16. And if my average premium is $6,000, that will be $96,000. Okay. That's it. Okay. That's the math behind what we have to do. That's the easy part. Now, the question is, how do you find 40 work comp policies to quote? Well, that's up to you. I'll tell you what I'm going to do, and maybe talk about another way to do it. The way we do it's pretty simple. Okay, I use my natural market. I've been in business now for a while, and I know a lot of people, and so I'm going to start. Well, actually, I had an appointment to have coffee with a buddy who I am his insurance agent. I've done some commercial stuff for him in the past, and I haven't seen him for a while. So I went out and I was like, hey man, let's go. I miss you. Let's hang out. Let's catch up. Let's have some coffee. So we go through, we have a great coffee date, whatever. And we hang out, we catch up, family, friends, what'd you do this year? Blah, blah, blah. How's your business? This and that. At the end, I was like, hey man, can you do me a favor? He's like, yeah, man, of course. I said, look, and this is the language that I really use when it comes to stuff like this. I said, look, and I tell him what my goals are. I'm like, my goal next year is to write a bunch of workers' comp. I really want to focus on workers' comp. Okay. So we are circling the wagons and we are going to write a bunch of work comp. I know this guy has worked with folks in the trades, plumbers, electricians. He's a project manager for construction. So he knows a bunch of places in town. I was like, Christian, would you do me a favor and would you connect me with people in these industries? Now it's best to go with this in your hip pocket to know where you can write this business. Okay. So, plumbers, electricians, HVAC. That's where I'm going to go with Christian. Okay. So as I know that you know a bunch of these people, would you be willing to connect me with the decision makers or owners of these companies? He was like, of course, man. Yeah, of course. Now that's easy to do. It's easy to say. We could part ways and something may happen, something may not happen. I happen to know that, some people that you do this with, you kind of need to manage. Okay, you need to follow up. You need to, hey man, have you talked to anyone? Hey man, can you connect me? You kind of got to put them on your own little personal friend drip campaign. Okay, and so I'm going to write the text for him. All right, and I tell him too. You got to tell him why these owners should come to me. This guy knows me. He's a good friend of mine. It's going to be easy for him to refer. Look, Matt's a good guy. He's been my agent a long time. But on top of that, you got to tell them something else. Like, look, in workers' comp, in these industries, my company is doing very well. These are businesses that we want. What that means is we are going to be cheaper. I mean, it's fine to use this language in this type of scenario. Say, in most cases, I can save companies 5 to 10% on their workers' comp. Bang. That's the language you want to use. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to write out a text. I'm even going to write it for you. Okay. So when he goes to his friends who own these companies, he's going to be able to say, hey, the text is going to say, hey, Bob, what's up? Christian here. I want to introduce you to Matt. He's a friend of mine. He's also my insurance agent. He can save you 5 to 10% on your workers' comp. Your industry is where he is really competitive right now. I just wanted to connect you to. Bang. He's going to send that text to Bob, and he's going to put me in on that text as well. Now I've got Bob's information with that text. Okay. Then I chase Bob. Christian's job is done. So I'm going to send him a stock message that says, hey, blank, first name or whatever. What's up? How's it going? I want to introduce you to Matt. He's a local insurance agent. He's saving people in your industry 10%. He's my agent. I just want to connect you to see if you can help each other out. Send. So I'm going to send him that message. He's going to fill in the name, and he'll send it out to hopefully a bunch of people, and I'll get 3 or 4 leads. Okay. And I'm going to do that with a bunch of friends of mine. Okay. With a bunch of people that I know who are connected with business owners. That's my plan. And that's how I'm going to. Now, the other thing we're going to do in my agencies, we want to write 40 work comp policies. Okay. So I have a big whiteboard. I just screwed it into my wall last weekend, and I'm ready to go. And I'm going to break it up. When it does workers' comp, it's highly recommended that you change work comp policies on renewal. Okay. You don't want to break these things midterm. You don't, because it could mess up their experience mod. That's all I'm going to say about that. There's more mechanics behind it, but essentially it can be detrimental to their experience mod if you change midterm. Okay. So what we're doing is a very old school method of chasing insurance, and that is X dating, right? So we want to know what their X date is, when they're going to be renewing, and we want to be collecting policies. So I'm going to carve my whiteboard up into months, January, February, March, April, all the way through December. I'm going to have a master list of policies that no one gets their name on the board unless they have agreed to a quote from you. Okay? Don't put who you're chasing. That's a different list. All right? We want to have the mother list on the whiteboard in your office so that everybody walks by and you can be like, all right, who are we chasing now? So as some of these people come in contact with me, and let's say I do hear from Bob, and Bob runs ABC Plumbing, and he's like, Matt, I would love a quote from you. I'm going to throw Bob's name on the board. Okay. From there, I am going to say, Bob, awesome. All I need from you is your current policy. And he will email that to me. I will look at the policy. I will see when it renews. And if it renews in April, Bob's business, ABC Plumbing, goes under the April portion of my calendar. That way I know in the middle of February, I can start quoting him. Okay. So that's it. We got to put 40 businesses on that board that have agreed to a quote from us. And it has to be scattered this way with workers' comp. That's it. The question is, I sat down with Monty in my office. I'm like, can you find me one company a week to throw on the board for a year? If he and I both do that, we're going to quote 100. Okay. And we're going to write 40, and we're going to write 240,000. Okay. So that's the way that we do it. Okay. It's very systematic. The whiteboard's very powerful. You want that in the office. You don't want to walk by a blank whiteboard. Okay. You got to have it in there. He and I are both going to see it, and we're both going to be like, oh my God, well, God, we're behind. All right. It's March and we only have three people up here. What's going on with this? We got to chase harder. You have to have this in front of you all the time. The simple $26 whiteboard, all right, is going to pay for itself 1,000 times over. Okay. If you do this right, you got to have this in your face all the time. Okay. So anything you're really chasing, you're really going after, that's where we're probably going to reserve half of the whiteboard for life policies too, because we're going to chase life too. So anybody that's agreed to a life quote, bang, their name goes on the board and we're chasing them. Okay. So that's what we're going to do. I would encourage you to do this. So that's what I got for you today. My name's Matt. This is Agency Launch. You can find me all over the place. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram at Deets Agency. Don't forget to send me a text, 208-213-8809 and send me the word commercial. And I'll send you even more detail on how to quote and close work comp policies. Okay. You get the full package here, people. All right. Thanks for listening. Keep up the good work.